Good morning, good afternoon, hello. What's going on?
Good
It's
morning, everyone.
another Wednesday, and it's a great time to be alive because we are here on planet Earth in this time of expansive change. How are you doing, Kim? I know we
I'm
had some
great this
technical
morning. How are you?
technical difficulties. You look great. And I heard that you were able to do our meditation last week and you enjoyed that a little bit.
Yes, I did. I did enjoy that.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited to be here today, and this is one of my favorite topics.
Mhm.
Vortexes and portals. Ooh. Yeah, it took me a while to figure that one out. Just kidding. So, this is one of those really cool spiritual topics that, eases into pseudoscience and metaphysical stuff. But I have to admit, Kim,
Mhm.
I decided to do this topic because of you.
Is this to do with my dog?
No, it doesn't have to do with
Oh.
ISIS. It has to do with the fact that you told me to watch some crazy show called The Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh.
Okay. So I was fortunate enough to volunteer at Contact in the Desert back in 2017. And I got to actually hear a lecture from the filmmakers, the guys that had this concept and idea, and the billionaire owner. They were there talking about the land, the Skinwalker Ranch.
Mhm.
And it was very intriguing to me. And I have to admit that when they were talking, I was getting downloads and understanding it in a different perspective. But I kind of forgot about it until last week. You said, "Hey, Rachel, have you watched that show?" And I thought, I better go watch it, right? That show is the explanation of what a vortex is.
Mhm.
Okay, so why am I getting all excited? Let me back up and slow down a little bit. Vortexes and portals are part of spirituality. They're part of the metaphysical world. They're actually part of the natural world. Portals, we'll start with there, are where you go internally. So when I say internally, I mean portals open up through meditation. When you are fully aligned, you got all the chakras and you are into your flow and you do a meditation, whether it's a silent meditation, a somatic where you're a moving meditation, maybe it's a walking meditation, a guided meditation. It is in through the meditations that you're able to go through portals and jump through different parallel universes, jump through different dimensions. Yes, I do sound like a Marvel comic book right now, but all of these other realities exist. And so the portals happen within. Portals can take you to the Akashic records, okay? The Akashic records where your soul history is kept. You can go through portals through meditations where you can go into the depths of the waters of Fatima. Or maybe you want to go into the geysers in Yellowstone. Or maybe you want to feel the heat of Mars. I think Mars is hot. All right. So portals are what we go through in meditation and when we're doing maybe a ritual or some form of inwardly. Yes, plant medicine would go under the lines of portals. Vortexes are physical places. Okay. The most famous vortexes are Sedona. I mean, Sedona really made a name for itself of we got vortexes, and you can actually get maps when you go to Sedona, and they can show you where there's very specific sites of these vortexes. I've been fortunate enough to go to a couple of these sites, and in a few moments here, we'll show you some pictures of vortexes. But vortexes are a physical place where you physically feel energy. Okay. When I say you physically feel the energy, for everybody, it's a little bit different.
Mm.
So for me, it may feel like a fuzzy, happy feeling. Um, for other people, they may feel like they're on pins and needles. Some people get really, really awake and they're just like, zzz, and you're like, okay, something's going on here. I don't know what it is.
Mm.
I just feel really up, right?
Mhm.
Vortexes usually are on ley lines on planet Earth, or we can create our own vortexes. But we'll get to that at the end. So, vortexes to me are most easily felt and found around rocks and trees. Okay, what's that? Nature.
Mm.
So, they are naturally occurring places. And vortexes have been known about for a long time. They may just have call them different things in different religions. I know for a fact that the Catholic Church understands vortexes
Mm.
because all of their major cathedrals are built on vortexes. An easy way to see a vortex isn't just the tree coming over and there's a pathway to walk in or a cave to go in, but sometimes you actually see the twisted trees. Have you ever seen a tree that's got that twisted root and it twists all the way, and the trees next to it, same type of tree, are straight?
Mm.
I wish I would have found some photographs of it. There was a great twisted tree next to my house in Palm Springs, and you could go walk up to that tree and you felt it was different. The energy from that twisted tree was different than the tree next to it. So you can sometimes see a vortex, you can typically feel it, and then, well, that's where the magic really happens, because when you step into the vortexes, they're all unique and you get to connect to the energy of that land, of that meaning. I have been in, how do we say this? An otherworldly being's vortex. There was a labyrinth somewhere in the world. I can't really disclose where it was at because it was so, mm, yeah. Well, if my girlfriend Vanessa's listening, we don't talk about this labyrinth, but
Oh.
it was a true vortex of energy that when you walked into that labyrinth, everything around you changed. What do I
Wow.
mean everything around you changed? We were in a very hot, muggy place and bright, 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 bright. And as soon as we walked into this labyrinth, we were instantly in a different atmosphere. It felt different, it smelt different. You could
Mm.
even taste things differently. You didn't feel like you were walking on the ground. You almost felt as though you were swimming through the air.
Mm.
Another vortex that I walked into, well, this one accidentally, was at a cemetery in New Orleans. And it was not what I was expecting. There was a big hole in the Oddfellows gate. And I stepped through the gate. I went from hot, sunny New Orleans, walked through the gate, and someone had created a vortex because they were doing their own ritual.
Mm.
And I walked into a cloudy, circular black sky. The temperature dropped about 20 degrees. It went from being 100 to about 80, maybe even 75. And even though I had been through this cemetery before, it suddenly felt as though I had never seen anything in that cemetery before.
Mm.
There was a ritual going on where we could see the rum and the decapitated rooster and the single shoes and whatever it was that they were doing. The smoke was still billowing out as they put out the candles, and we could smell that rum and a sweet sense, maybe some sweet grass and tobacco in there, a cigar possibly. But it did not feel like a cemetery. It did not feel like, I like cemeteries. To me, cemeteries are really calm and grounding and peaceful.
Mm.
And I get so much. I mean, I used to go walk the cemeteries in New Orleans whenever I had a bad day. It always
Mhm.
just made me feel good. But this vortex, it made me feel confused. And it just didn't feel right. So just like Scooby-Doo would do, we jumped up and ran out. We knew better.
Mhm.
So some vortexes aren't meant for us to go into. I don't think that whoever put that vortex up was expecting any guests or visitors that day.
Mhm.
So vortexes can be made by ritual, by practice. Vortexes can happen naturally and occur in trees, rocks, stones, plains, waterfalls. Oh, waterfalls. They're so amazing. It's the ionized water that you feel, right? Right? So these vortexes are a way for you to step out of the plane, the dimension of the third dimension, and step into higher dimensions, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and experience what these higher elevations feel like. I know I'm getting a little crazy. So, what I
No, it's
thought I
wonderful.
would do is I
Mhm.
put together a montage, although I didn't
Mhm.
put any music with it because I thought I could talk and tell you about it as we go. But I made a video here and to show you physical vortexes that I experienced. Some of these vortexes that I experienced healed me.
Mm.
Oh, and I know. Sure it did, Rachel. Sure, they healed you. Well, I actually have physical proof. I have proof that my right ovary was completely removed for my 30th birthday. It was such a great birthday present to myself.
Hmm.
And by the time I think it was my 47th birthday, after I sat, and I'll show you the vortex, and did my prayers, why they did the little procedures and they showed that I have two full ovaries, that my right ovary completely grew back. It didn't grow back properly. Instead of hanging down low, it went up, but I have a full set now. How did that happen?
There. Yeah. When I first met you, you were the before, and now you're the after.
And
Mhm.
I'm the after. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So this vortex that I sat in amplified my prayers. And I
Mm.
was
Mm.
able to take that energy of this vortex and draw it within me. And my body worked with that energy and it knew how to heal myself. So I have paperwork that shows from medical doctors that the ovary was removed and that the ovary has reappeared. I know the exact time and where it happened because of other medical problems. I went from having to have an emergency hysterectomy, went and hung out in this vortex for a few hours. A day later, they told me that I was perfectly normal. So, do I believe that it's possible to heal yourself? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Can we heal everything about ourselves? Not if we're not ready. And some things, unfortunately, aren't meant to be healed by us, but by forgiveness. And it might be part of our journey here.
Hmm.
So, you want to see some vortexes so that you can get the idea and find them yourself? And the other thing about going to a vortex is that you really have to be grounded. What is, we've talked about that before. You have to be centered within yourself. You have to find that lock into the earth and feel an alignment within yourself. And that way you can feel the energy before you step in and then the energy after you step in. That's the greatest thing about understanding vortexes is that you have to calibrate the feeling within your own being because we are unique individuals on this planet experiencing joy.
Mhm.
You have to find how you feel. All right, let's show them. Let's see if we can play this video and so of course the classic is the rainbow, right? The rainbows give us beautiful feelings.
Hmm.
And I was fortunate enough in Palm Springs that uh, the rainbows would come over the house often. And you could just feel that very gentle water. Lots of different forms of vortexes within water. That was just a nice lake. I could actually feel that sunlight hitting me. Ah, a live oak tree. Do you see how the branches bend over?
Mhm.
Trees you can easily crawl into and cuddle in and feel this. Kim, you were actually there when
I
we
took
went
that
to.
picture, I believe.
Yes, and this is Joshua tree. This is a ginormous stone.
Mhm.
That is, oh, there's Sedona. Churches. Remember I said churches are
Mm,
built? The St. Louis
yes.
Cathedral is built on a vortex. That's the Sedona. This is a stupa in Sedona. Religious places, again, contain
Mm.
Kuan Yin. This was in
Yeah.
Louisiana, and this
Mhm.
was a Hindu temple. Okay, see that light there on the left? I take a
Mhm.
closer picture of it. There was no light source, and there were
Mm.
no windows open. Medicine wheels, oh, whether they're new or old, carry great energy. This was where I walked up the top of this, and those are the rocks that I sat on that I healed myself. Do you see it
Oh.
forms like a triangle? Ah, this is Lilydale Assembly.
Mm.
That's walking into the fairy gardens. See how you can walk through two trees and pass through the energy? That fairy garden there was, whew, you just could feel it tingling all over. This is in LA. You could just walk through it, looking up in the trees when you get in the forests. You'd feel that light. That's at the stupa in Sedona again. See that giant crystal, and that's, I call him the listening man.
Mm. Mhm.
And there, this is in Sabino Canyon. This was taken 2 days ago. See the rainbow light? That's not just the reflection of the sun. That is literally the lens allowing us to see the energy of that mountain, the sequoia. Okay, so we were in Sequoia Park and I was walking and I heard from this tree, take your hat off and walk to me in reverence. This
Ooh.
tree was the strongest vortex that I have ever felt. If you look at it, there's a lot of things happening within it. It forced me to stop, honor it, and I lost all sense of time when I was near this tree. When you look into the tree, and this is looking up the tree,
Wow.
is just like being within caves. This
Mhm.
is Mitchell's Cavern here, and when you're in the caves, again, it's like a womb. It's a different type of vortex. It makes you feel safer and complete. See these two right there? I walked through those two giant stones in Joshua Tree, went into another vortex. This is giant rock. Giant rock is known for its otherworldly and alien. So this is when the tail up, looking up between giant rocks, see, and we actually called in a spaceship and we're able to get it.
See that?
So vortexes also are above us, as we can see that the light there of the angelic being, and we can feel that energy. I mean, isn't that crazy?
Hmm.
And that's creating a vortex right there in front of me where I got to like wish for what I wanted. This is in Palm Springs. This rock really called me over to it. And the closer I got to this rock, I started feeling and seeing the vortex energy within it. And the rock just started smiling at me. And it wanted me to know how special and ancient it was. And it winked at me. A rock winked at me. This vortex was in Ecabecum in Mexico. Do you see it gently going up and down there? Well, it introduced me to this tree, the tree of life. And I was able to talk and communicate with this tree once I went through that vortex. And it was pretty cool because you exit out of these vortexes too. This is a new one. This is here in Tucson. That is the actual source of the hot springs. So the hot springs water bubbles up and cools down and comes out here. And I felt it and I could see the vortex of the energy of the hot springs here, of a true oasis. This is a vortex in Indian Canyon. Oh, and here's a magical place in Sequoia. You can hear the water, so you know that there's ions in the water. You know that the energy there is different. And you just can see that the sun is pointing to actually where I ended up walking to. And you could feel how there was this amazing pull to go into that water, to clear off what I no longer needed, and to really step into the unknown. It was this awesome feeling of being an ant in this huge space of these ginormous trees and huge rocks. But yet I was so a part of that feeling, that fluidity. This is, I believe, in Louisiana, going for a little walk. And again, oh, nope, this is Ecabecum too. This is back in Mexico. That was when I stepped out of the portal. This is in Forest Falls. I love those trees. Trees are such an easy way to feel the vortex.
Don't jump. You need to walk into that.
Yeah. See, this was again that pool going down pathways. This is another state park in Southern California. Again, the insects, the animals all play with the whole vortex. The sound takes you somewhere else. The smells, the colors, and you don't feel that you were walking somewhere where it was 120 degrees. But instead, you get caught up into, well, being like the bumblebee or the wasp, and you just want to flutter from one flower to the next. But you can see how it just appears to be different. There's another beautiful vortex you can see going into that cave. This was here in Arizona. So the light pointed a path for me, and I walked this path, and I saw those Arizona sycamores. And when I looked up, That's what I saw, and it took me out. Vortexes can happen at night too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in Lilydale Assembly. This is not, I did not create that, nor did I create that
Whoa,
light.
what
I
is
took
that?
the picture and it
That
happened.
dragon. um,
So I had to throw in a couple of night pictures because I know some people are like, "Oh, Rachel, it's just reflection of the sun." No, it's not. It's a combination of the sun reflecting in, the plants and the energy around it, and
mm.
being able to capture that feeling of the different lights. So this is on our opening segment, and this is in Palm Springs. And when I would stand up here, what you as the viewer don't know is where I'm standing is where I built a medicine wheel. And
Mm.
so to me, it totally made sense that you could see and feel the vortex energy around this medicine wheel I made. So again, vortexes are a physical place where portals are a place from within so that, we can go visit other places.
Oh, I thought I
And
just saw something travel along that.
you
Good.
probably did a different orb of different kinds. I saved a couple of images of the orbs and different things when we talk about that, because you get closer to spirits within vortexes, and so it's easier to see them, to feel them, whether you're taking a picture of them at night or just capturing it accidentally with your phone.
Mm-hmm.
This is my new backyard here in Tucson,
Mm.
and I want to point out at the end that we are a vortex.
Mm.
And so that's where I ended with a photograph of myself, because we all carry that energy within us. It's, do we choose to use it or not? Do we choose to connect to the energy? Do we choose to feel these vortexes? Or do we want to just keep on our norm? Do we want to just keep on the way things are
You
and
know, I'm the familiar.
the familiar? And that is okay. There's no right or wrong with this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think it's interesting that people will pay a ton of money to go to Sedona to feel vortexes
Mm-hmm.
when they're everywhere. They're in
Mm.
your backyards. They're
Mm-hmm.
in your state parks. They're next to the creek that flows near your house. Vortex is, well, the whole planet is a vortex. But when you connect to nature, you can feel that energy more. And when you step into these spaces, it heals. It can make wishes for you.
Mm-hmm.
Vortexes have different purposes. Some people like to go into the vortexes, like in Mount Shasta, and they
Mm.
do massive rituals and they do big clearings for the planet and they bring a lot of goodwill and love in. And then sometimes when you go into a vortex, like maybe a waterfall or a swimming hole, it's just to rejuvenate your cells. It's
Mm-hmm.
just to give you a little bit of a giggle. All
Mm-hmm.
right, I've been talking a lot. Does any of this make sense? Is it resonating with you, or
Mm.
is Rachel
Yes.
crazy again?
Well, Rachel's good crazy, like crazy. You know, you know how sometimes what sounds like crazy is just truth. Hello, Suzanne. Nice to see you.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm glad somebody does got a little explanation.
Yeah, I agree with
Hey.
you very much. This is so interesting. And yes, now I also understand some of my experiences when I'm walking around nature. Hi, you guys. Hi,
Oh,
Tutu RVC.
that's Nessa. Uh-huh.
Oh, hi, Nessa. Oh, thank you so much. This is a great experience, Rachel. So sometimes when we're walking around and we don't know exactly, yeah, what we're experiencing, what we're feeling, or why nature is so healing, because we're just feeling that energy sometimes the modern energy, which is great as well, but it interrupts things. So we're listening to many different, like when you're switching a radio and you hear that little bits and keep going, but then,
Yes.
yes, but when in
Yes.
the vortex, it's like all of a sudden you feel and see clearly, even though it's something you don't necessarily understand or recognize.
Yes.
It's like,
So
whoa. Yeah.
let's go back to that Skinwalker Ranch for an example. Do
Oh,
you remember the scene when the scientist walked into a cave area and he got really woozy?
yes.
And later they said it was gamma rays or whatever, but
Mhm.
he's like, I
Yeah.
was like, dude, he walked into a vortex.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end of the season, the one scientist showed where all the lights on the ridges were. Well,
Mhm.
it clearly defined the
Oh,
vortex area. And I was like, yeah, it's a giant fissure in the earth. And
uh,
I am sure that there's radiation and gas and different things coming
yes.
up from old, old, old otherworldly beings. They're not they're not new to this planet, and nor are they new to that area,
Mhm.
and nor did the Navajo create them. It was
Mm,
literally a vortex. That land itself
yes.
had that energy. And when I all right, I did a little meditation and I asked, and of course, these are just my opinions. But my opinion is that there's going to be two other places in the world that carry the same exact energy. It felt as though that there's three, possibly nine, but there's at least three other sites just
Mm.
like this one at Skinwalker Ranch, because it's a place where the earth goes, you know, it's not like a fart, but it's where, well, maybe
Almost,
it is. Maybe
yeah,
it is.
it is,
Where
yeah,
it's
it's
releasing its
expelling.
gas and
Yes,
it's
where it's
releasing that.
expelling. Uh-huh.
Yes. So
Mm.
it's this vortex is just a
Mhm.
natural fissure. All right. It's just a
Mhm.
natural place where I would be willing to bet that whenever they do get to go down and look into the land, that they would find that there's a cavern or something that goes straight into the center of the earth,
Mhm.
where all of this is just fusing up. Even
Yeah.
the light that comes up from it, the radiation, to me, I know it's not logical, but it makes sense to me
Mhm.
that it's just the energy, this vortex, this location of nature just kind of spitting up and spitting things out. It's where it's, oh, well, it's cleansing itself, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, maybe it is exactly like a fart. Maybe that is what it is. So again, so the guys at the Skinwalker Ranch, he gets that feeling and he gets woozy. I've walked into vortexes where I have lost all time and space,
Mm.
no concept of where I was, and I was hydrated and fully functioning and couldn't function and
Mm.
just was out of it. And all you have to do is step out, literally, unless
Mm.
you're really deep into the center of it. It's sometimes a matter of inches.
Mhm.
I would play a game, specifically at the St. Louis Cathedral and at that beautiful stone cathedral I showed you in Sedona, where you would step in the doors and you could feel it, and then you'd step out the doors and it was gone. And you
Mm.
could step in and you felt it, and you'd step out, it was gone. And of
Mhm.
course, my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"I'm in the vortex. I'm
Uh-huh.
out of the vortex. I'm
Mhm.
in the vortex." Right? Right? So it isn't something that is, again, unattainable, or you have to have something special on you. I mean, I did wear my labradorite earrings today to amplify this. Yeah, no,
Okay.
actually,
So
vortexes just exist.
when I was living in the parsonage of the United Methodist Church, right? My father was a minister. One morning, I woke up, I opened my eyes, and it was a completely different ceiling. I was in a completely different room, right? I closed my eyes, opened them again, and I was in my bedroom. I said, okay. I closed my eyes again, opened them again, and I was in that other place. And I could hear my father his morning routine, he would come downstairs and he would start making breakfast. And I told myself, okay, better go back to that other place before I get stuck here. And so I closed my eyes and opened them again, and I was back in my bedroom. But okay, so that's my experience. I know I wasn't sleeping. I can't prove that to anyone, but I know what happened in that room.
You were in a vortex
Yeah.
that allowed you to go through a portal
Mm-hmm.
into other spaces.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because you were in a meditative state, because your eyes were closed and you were sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
You physically fell asleep in a vortex
Mm.
that allowed the portals to open up, so that when you opened your eyes, you were transported into
Mm.
other feelings, into other locations.
Mm.
We, my lovely husband, second husband, and I were, we moved back to New Orleans for a few months to save up money to move to Southern California. And so we lived in this teeny tiny apartment that was full of lead paint and in Kenner, and it was weird. It was
Mm.
weird. It was really small. It was like a studio, like 400 square feet. And it was near Lake Pontchartrain, and we knew that there was vortexes there. I knew that there was an energy that I could live here,
Mm.
but I didn't know what kind of energy. I thought maybe that lead paint was, messing with my mind or something. And one day, both Shane and I, totally sober, no alcohol, no nothing,
Mm.
um, we we were talking about something, and I kid you not, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and he said, "Well, let's just lay down for a second, and then we're gonna go, um, go out for the night." And the next thing you know, it was 9:30 the next day. We didn't black out because, again, there was nothing in our system.
Right.
We literally laid down, and then somebody was knocking on the door. And we laid down, like, just to rest. So we weren't in our pajamas. We didn't wash our face or anything. We laid down, and all of a sudden, we hear knocking on the door, and it was my session at 9 a.m. the next day. Shane had
Oh.
even missed work or
Mm-hmm.
was late for work. Again, the land itself was a vortex.
Mm-hmm.
I may have put us into a portal,
Mm-hmm.
and we lost all time and space. I think we figured it out, it was like 14 hours that we have no dreams, no feelings, no recollection, and it was both of us. It wasn't just me, it was him too.
Mm.
So you can be in vortexes everywhere, and unknowingly your energy, well, maybe there was something else going on, astrology wise, that I wasn't paying attention to, but
Mm.
can put you through these vortexes or through a portal
Mm.
while you're in the vortex.
Mm.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, that's not one thing that Shane talks about a lot, but it
Yeah.
really was.
Mm.
It took me a few days to really understand and be okay that I didn't black out. There's nothing wrong with my mind. That wasn't a bad thing. It never happened again.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a really crazy experience. So vortexes are everywhere. It's calibrating yourself to feel that energy. So if you want to, I
Mm-hmm.
say start with a church near you.
Mm.
Start with something that you are aligned with, right? Because again, churches, temples create vortex energy of the love of the practitioners and the people that are there,
Mm.
and the spot itself. It's usually not a coincidence that they're built where they are.
I understand that now, because although I've never been Catholic, I do get a certain feeling on the rare occasion that I'm in a Catholic church, just, and I thought it was just due to the beauty of the architecture, but it's this serenity, just this feeling that, wow, this is I have a good feeling in this place. And the last time I was in one was for a funeral, and I had a surprisingly wonderful experience just sitting in that that church.
And
uh,
that divine love.
I believe that I entered a vortex once, or was a portal to help somebody, because I was sleeping at a friend's house. There was three of us in the room, and I woke up screaming at the top of my lungs. I woke up the whole house, right? But I hadn't been dreaming. And so when we settled down, and I said, usually if I have a nightmare, I wake up and shake it off and I'm cool. I said, but it feels like there's something in the room. And my friend said to her sister, the three of us were in one room, do you have anything you want to say to Kim? And so there's this reoccurring dream that my friend's sister was having. And at a certain point, she would see the face of the person who was like kind of following her. And the face was just about to come right into hers. And I woke up screaming. So, that's,
Wonderful example of, again, the collective
yes.
being in the same vortex,
Yeah.
and that collective going into the same portals and experiencing that same dream, the same meditation, the same experience. It's true. Again, if you are together in that defined space and you are all sleeping in that our REM state, it opens you all up together to go and explore things without any effort.
What I love about that is it shows how connected we really all are, how we can actively and purposefully use our energy together. So this goes to what you were talking about, not last week, but the week before, about chaos, where we're all like doing our own thing, and I gotta be me. But again, the question, to what end? What is the purpose? So we have to find a way to be me, but combine together so we get the best use of these vortexes in our portals that we create.
If we could all be me, be yourself, but all have the same desire for love.
Yes, that one thing. Yes,
That's
divine love.
it.
Yeah.
I don't care if your hair is purple or your shaved head, if you're 6 foot tall, if you are, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter who you are or
But
what you
if
are.
you have the same goal of love,
Divine love, yes.
then we all get on that same dimensional plane and we elevate up everything.
And unconditional, yes.
So that's right. Thanks, Nessa. It's this whole idea that you experience you. But if you allow love to rule and I allow love to rule, then we open up a giant vortex for the planet to expand in. And that to me is what the Mayan calendar represented. Wasn't 2012 as the end of the world, but when we get the collective consciousness to agree that divine love is the schnazdat, when collectively we accept love instead of fear and victimhood, then the planet goes whoop, and we hit that fifth dimension all around, not just in spots where it's at, or not just individuals like myself and yourself. That can go all the way up to 12 dimensions and higher. That's groovy and great for me, but I would rather give up all the dimensions I can travel to have the whole world just in that fifth dimension, because then that means love rules. That means fear and victimhood And all of the yuckiness of being human goes away because then we just accept things as they are and we don't get caught up into drama. And when you accept that now it just is, and you don't have to be fearful of it, scared of it, then it's so much easier to accept it, heal it, and step forward. I was listening to a beautiful talk this morning that Vanessa sent me with Abraham Hicks, and they reminded us that it really is our positive attitude, our belief in divine love that sets up our stage for the future. So I see we're running out of time, and I don't want to keep everybody because I know we've got things to do. So I'm going to end this with the fact that you're a vortex. And go feel vortexes out. Go find them. Go find them in nature. Go find them in the streets of New York. I mean, in New Orleans. They exist within the buildings. But you have to attune yourself to feel them. And the more that we pull out these vortexes, especially in our urban areas, well, it just spreads a lot of joy. And it gives people back their vortex, their magic. And then you can travel through the portals and clean up your past, set goals for your future, design your life the way that your will is.
And appreciate your now. Also, love where you are now.
Always.
That's where it all starts.
And the vortexes can only be felt if you're present. If you are flighty and you are disconnected, you are not going to feel. Because vortexes are tactile. I mean, that's, you might smell, you might taste it, you might feel it inside. Try it. I would love to hear from any of you if you go out this week and see if you can find yourself some vortexes. Of course, the portals I take you to in meditation, so I know you've been through a portal. But vortexes, they're everywhere. Create one yourself. Go exploring. And no, you don't have to fly or drive clear out to Sedona to experience one. They're right there. All right. I'm Rachel Otto, and this is my girlfriend, Kim Mello. And very grateful to be here today at Way Chill Living. You can always book a session with me at heal.me or my website, waychilllife.com. Follow me on Instagram too. I've always got some pretty pictures of Sabino Canyon or the areas here. And other than that, I wish you a beautiful moment of now.
Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.